What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at Jigsaw, the eighth installment into the Saw franchise. I'm going to make this review as short as I possibly can. I think Jigsaw is a middle-of-the-road movie. This is a sequel that brings absolutely nothing new to the table, doesn't reinvent this franchise at all, doesn't breathe new life into this franchise at all. It's pretty much a safe, paint-by-numbers sequel that blends in with the rest of this franchise. And to be honest with you, this movie came out 7 years after the final chapter, and I think this movie should have waited another three. I don't think they gave enough time between the final chapter and this movie to actually have people miss this franchise, because this movie is just, it feels tired. It feels like we've been through this all over again and we have nothing new to bring to the table. I will say this though, from a production standpoint, this is a much stronger effort than Saw the Final Chapter, which to me was just a lazy piece of junk of a movie. At least this movie looks and feels like a movie. It feels like people actually put time into making this movie. The story of this movie is ridiculous. This movie takes place 10 years after the death of John Kramer, and throughout this entire movie, the police think that a copycat is on the loose because a lot of these new killings are matching that of John Kramer's are matching that of the old Jigsaw case. Uh, but you know, how can this be? Because John Kramer is dead, and this movie tries to give you a misdirection that maybe John Kramer is still alive. If that would have been the case, how the hell do you explain yourself out of that? Because because the movie keeps showing things that make you suspect that, okay, is John alive? You know, the cops are finding blood on corpses. They're finding John's gravesite to have been exhumed. And when you get to the middle of the movie, we see John in the barn, inside the barn. I mean, it's revealed that the games that took place in this barn happened 10 years prior to the event of this movie, before the first game was even made, which to me is just like, okay, how come we didn't know about this till now? Because we were led to believe that one of the first games was Amanda and the guy who was trying to crawl through barbed wire but got stuck. Now you're telling me that this Bond game was one of the first, and it was never referenced at all? Did they just bury this case? Doesn't make any sense from a continuity standpoint. It's confusing. Not only that, you get to this big revelation where one of these characters named Logan has been retconned as the very first Jigsaw apprentice. Okay, how come we never knew about this? Where the hell was he when the stuff with Amanda and Hoffman was going down? Was he on vacation? What's going on? Not only that, Hoffman and Amanda aren't even referenced throughout this entire movie by Logan. So what the hell was his connection to those two? And what was his connection to John? The only thing that, the only connection Logan had to John was that Logan is a doctor, and he accidentally switched up John's X-rays, which left his cancer to go undiagnosed. And since John found this to be an honest mistake, he spared his life and made him his first apprentice. Okay, roll with that. Then how do you explain Dr. Gordon? How do you explain Amanda? How do you explain Hoffman not even mentioning or coming into contact with this man? It feels like this movie just needed a twist for the sake of a twist. I mean, they brought in the, I mean, at one point of the movie they brought up that John had a nephew who was accidentally killed by one of the characters in the barn. I think it would have just made more sense if you would have just had his nephew survive, and that Logan would have been revealed to be John's nephew. I think that would have cleaned up a lot of continuity error, or not a lot of continuity confusion. But no, they decided to take the confusing, convoluted route and just have Logan appear out of nowhere as the first apprentice. Okay, that's dumb. Not only that, the story behind this movie is dumb, and it nearly went down, and I swear to God, I thought it was going to go down the supernatural route, and I would have buried this movie with a shovel if it would have went supernatural, because this movie kept teasing that John was alive, that John's alive, and I'm thinking, okay, he had his throat slit in Saw 3. His ass was cut up as a corpse in Saw 4. There's no way this man's gonna be alive. Unless you're doing some fucking Evil Dead Necronomicon nonsense. Thank God, like I said, this movie did not go down that route, because it would have been completely and utterly stupid. I mean, this movie's already completely and utterly stupid to begin with, because the investigation is kind of boring, because the only two red herrings you really have is this character named Eleanor, who is a Jigsaw fangirl, and this movie tries really, really hard to convince you that she is the new killer, while all the other characters are pretty much also falling for that trap as well. I mean, if you're gonna do a whodunit, have a more wider range of suspects instead of just one, because when you get to the actual twist, when it ends up being Logan, it's like, okay, this comes out of nowhere, and his explanation is kind of flimsy. And not only that, he pretty much did everything to get back at this corrupted cop named Halloran, who released this guy named Edgar Munson, who we see at the beginning of the movie, who starts this new game, which we're led to believe is the Bond games until it's revealed to be something else entirely. And it's revealed that this Edgar character actually killed Logan's wife, which is why Logan has a grudge against the Halloran character, and why he ends up killing the Halloran character at the end, and ends up framing the Halloran character as the new Jigsaw copycat. Pretty much, Logan is a more self-righteous version of Hoffman, when Hoffman tried to pin the murders on Strom. So we're going down that route. Okay, that's just rehashing stupid and not creative. And that's what this movie is. It's just rehashed and not creative. And that's pretty much all I got to say about Jigsaw. As you can tell, I don't really have much to say about this movie because I don't care for it at all. I liked it more than the final chapter, but I think it's on par with 5 and 6, where it's just there. It's nothing great, but it's nothing it's nothing offensively bad. It's just lazy, which is why Jigsaw gets a 4 out of 10. It's not memorable. It adds nothing to the franchise. It has a couple of things that are okay, like some of the kills, I'll admit, in the barn, they are pretty gruesome and graphic. But when all you have is just gruesome and graphic stuff going for you, and you don't have a strong detective story, and your revelation is a confused mess which raises way too many questions, you can't go higher than a 4. I'm sorry. Alright, those are my thoughts on Jigsaw. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.